evening and good night, traveler. Tonight we drift into the ancient whispers of creation to a time when Azeroth was young, raw and untamed. The war between the Titans and the Old Gods has ended, and the colossal Keepers of Order began shaping a world destined for greatness. But even in victory, seeds of chaos would remain, and from the deepest shadows, power would rise once more. Let your mind rest and your ears listen as we journey through the Ordering of Azeroth. The Ordering of Azeroth. After the victory of the Titans over the Old Gods and the imprisonment of the latter, the Titans empowered a number of races to help them fashion the world. To help them carve out the fathomless caverns beneath the earth, the Titans created the dwarf-like earthen from magical living stone. To help guard and protect the Veil of Eternal Blossoms, the Titans created the Stone Mogu to guard and protect the Veil and the surrounding region. To help them dredge out the seas and lift the land from the seafloor, the Titans created the immense but gentle sea giants. For many ages, the Titans moved and shaped the earth, until at last there remained one perfect continent. At the continent's center, where Issaraz used to be, after Aman'Thul ripped her apart, the Titans crafted a lake of scintillating energies. The lake, which they named the Well of Eternity, was to be the foundation of life for the world. Its potent energies would nurture the bones of the world and empower life to take root in the land's rich soil. Over time, plants, trees, monsters and creatures of every kind began to thrive on the primordial continent. As the twilight fell on the final day of their labors, the Titans named the continent Kalimdor, Land of Eternal Starlight. Satisfied that the small world had been ordered and their work was done, the Titans prepared to leave Azeroth. Galakrond and the Proto-Dragons. The Proto-Dragons descend from elementals who avoided being imprisoned in the elemental plane and instead remained on Azeroth, where some of them gradually transformed into creatures of flesh and blood. More specifically, Bran Bronzebeard recently uncovered evidence, corroborated by reports from adventurers in Deepholm, that proto-dragons may have origins in elemental drakes such as stone and storm drakes. The inhabitants of Deepholm, the Skywall, the Firelands and the Abyssal Maw are less than talkative on these matters, however, and most of them were not around when the elemental prisons were created. Galakrond, a massive proto-dragon, is known as the progenitor of dragonkind. Galakrond, who once hunted with his fellow proto-dragons and was seen as benevolent, suddenly changed and became terror that caused the other proto-dragons in prehistoric Azeroth to fear him. Why the proto-dragons did not know what caused the change in Galakrond, Keeper Tyr at least blames himself for Galakrond's actions and mutations, saying, "We never intended this path. Galakrond should never have journeyed in the direction he did, and we did not prevent it." Galakrond's mutations were caused by the old god Yogg-Saron corrupting the waters which Galakrond drank from. On a day when dozens gathered to hunt, Galakrond appeared and took their prey, terrifying them all. The blue-white proto-dragon Malygos was curious as to why Galakrond would hunt in that area when he never had before, to which his new friend Neltharion responded that there was more food. Malygos, however, was quick to point out that the food was their food. In addition, Galakrond began to devour dozens of other proto-dragons, which was unthinkable to the others as they didn't practice cannibalism. However, the horror didn't end there, as it was revealed that those cannibalized by Galakrond rose as undead, called the Not Living, enslaved to his will. At Galakrond's command, the Not Living hunted their living counterparts and infected those they beat. The proto-dragon Koros sought to emulate Galakrond, believing that Galakrond would not devour those like him. To this end, Koros would meet with Galakrond in secret and inform him of the time and place that Telonixa, the chosen alpha of the living proto-dragons, decided that the proto-dragon army would venture forth and attack Galakrond. Seemingly pleased with this information and the thought of the feast that he would have, Galakrond flew off, seemingly sparing Koros and his fellow cohorts. However, as Koros and his band took off to the sky, Galakrond returned and quickly devoured them all. Despite Telonixa learning of Koros' betrayal and striking at a different place and time, Galakrond was able to use not-living forces to lure the proto-dragon to him. Galakrond erupted from the ground when the army was in position and swiftly shattered it. After killing Telonixa, Galakrond was unable to devour the fast of the army due to the actions of Malygos, Nosdormu and Neltharion. As Malygos broke off to find Ysera and Alexstrasza, Galakrond ended up engaging in battle against the future aspects only to be driven off by Tyr after being stunned by his hammer. An unknown time later, Tyr met with the 5 proto-dragons, informing them that Galakrond was sleeping in a mountain range to the north and that it was the perfect time to attack. After eating and gathering their strength, Tyr and the others met up near Galakrond's slumbering place and would engage the behemoth in battle. During the course of the battle, Tyr's hammer and his spark of Tyr were knocked free from his person, and as he reached out to grab the spark, Galakrond's massive maw came within range and ended up claiming both the artifact and Tyr's hand. Pleased by his victory and being further mutated, Galakrond didn't even notice when his enemies had left the battle. After regaining his senses, Galakrond found himself unable to find prey as the living had become adept at hiding. With his hunger ever growing, Galakrond, in a move that stunned and surprised the future aspects, began to devour his own not living as they were the only thing that would not hide from him. Despite his hunger, Galakrond was able to show restraint by keeping enough not living to serve as a scouting force to hunt down his preferred prey, the living proto-dragons. With Tyr out of commission from his wound, the proto-dragons had to battle Galakrond alone. Galakrond and his remaining not-living forces would eventually be attacked by the future aspects in what would become known as the Dragonblight. During the battle, Malygos would be able to lodge a boulder into Galakrond's throat, an action which not only saw Galakrond to focus his attention on dislodging it instead of combating the others, but also forced him to release his hold on the remaining not-living, who then began to attack one another. Despite his best efforts, the actions of Malygos' ice breaths would force the boulder to remain in the place, and the boulder would ultimately be lodged further down his throat when Neltharion blasted a not-living into it, causing Galakrond to ultimately choke to death. Wanting to keep the truth about Galakrond a secret in order to prevent others from following in his path, the aspects encouraged the rumor that the Titans created them from Galakrond. After Galakrond's death, a fragment of his claw and of the boulder that killed him were recovered and placed in Zaralek Caverns by the Black Dragonflight. dragon aspects. Before they were dragons, the aspects were proto-dragons. They stood united against a bloodthirsty monster who threatened their race, the father of dragons known as Galakrond. After the Ordering of Azeroth, Keeper Tyr, the greatest Titan-forged warrior, stood against Galakrond, and with the help of 5 powerful and intelligent proto-dragons, Alexstrasza, Malygos, Neltharion, Nosdormu and Ysera, that held dominion over their brethren, they defeated the massive proto-dragon known as Galakrond. Because of this and their courage, Tyr suggested to the other keepers to empower them and make them defenders of Azeroth, as they proved they were able to stand for the planet. Odyn disagreed and forbid the other keepers to proceed with that idea, but they decided to go against him. They reached out to the Pantheon, and each of the Titans blessed the proto-dragons with a portion of their vast power channeled through the keepers. The dragonflights were thus charged with the task of watching over Azeroth, lest any force should threaten its perfect tranquility. They became majestic beings called dragons and were known as the Aspects. However, mortals are told that the Aspects were created from Galakrond. This is a rumor spread by the Aspects themselves in order to prevent proto-dragons and dragons from doing the same thing as Galakrond and becoming immeasurably powerful and mad. The Titans empowered the 5 dragons, each with specific powers to lead the dragonflights and watch over Azeroth and its evolution. Aman'Thul, the High Father of Pantheon, charged the bronze dragon Nosdormu with guarding over time itself and police the ever-spinning pathways of fate and destiny. Ionar, the Titan patron of all life, blessed both the red dragon Alexstrasza and her younger sister, the green dragon Ysera, so they would safeguard all living creatures and watch over the growing wilds of the world, respectively. Norgannon, the Titan lore keeper and master magician, made the blue dragon Malygos the guardian of magic and hidden arcanum. Khaz'goroth, the Titan shaper and forger of the world, gave the black dragon Neltharion dominion over the earth and the deep places of the world. Aman'Thul's vision of the old gods one day causing the hour of twilight, capable of potentially wiping out all life on Azeroth, was one of the reasons the Pantheon empowered Nosdormu and the other Aspects with their powers, to ultimately avert this single catastrophe, although Aman'Thul, for all his vast powers, was not omniscient and was unaware Neltharion would eventually be corrupted into Deathwing. According to legends, when the Aspects were first created, the moons had been in a rare conjunction known as the Embrace. A repeat of this same alignment was crucial to the proper working of the magic necessary to turn a normal dragon into an Aspect. It is impossible to select a new Aspect or even try to call a new one as long as the current one lives. Aspects are more than just dragons with different skills and extra powers. When the Titans blessed all of them, they gave them insights and other ways of understanding things. Until the creation of Chromatus bearing other Aspects, no single dragon was able to defeat one. Although they are parts of a whole and were never meant to be separate, they are also complete unto themselves as well. When the Titans departed, they said to the Aspects, "Unto each of you was given a gift, unto all of you is given the duty. Their one true duty was to preserve the world of Azeroth and prevent the hour of twilight at all costs." However, the Titans' gift was also a burden. Neltharion felt every rock in Azeroth pressed down on him. His body splintered and cracked. It was beyond physical agony. His spirit was unraveling, suffocated by the unfathomable load. He saw it as a life of eternal torment. However, with it came an incredible strength, as the weight of Azeroth was his to command. Odyn, Helya, and the Halls of Valor. Odyn is one of the Titanforged who were empowered by the Pantheon and thus became Keepers. He led the Titanforged armies against the forces of the old gods. He was imbued with the powers of Aman'Thul. Together with Tyr, he battled and defeated Ragnaros the Fire Lord and devised the final plan to bring down Yogg-Saron. For his leadership, determination and courage, he was granted the title of Prime Designate, leader of the Titanforged of Azeroth, and was tasked with watching Yogg-Saron's prisons and maintaining the Forge of Wills. Odyn gifted Heimdall with the Galakrond, and if it is sounded, the Keepers are oath-bound to answer its call, as it signals that the end times are upon Azeroth. Helya was originally a gifted Titanforged sorceress who battled the forces of the old gods under the leadership of the Keepers. After the Keepers defeated the old gods' elemental servants, High Keeper Ra called on Helya to aid him in crafting the elemental plane as a permanent prison for the elemental lords and their minions. In addition, the two crafted the High Keeper's Ward to act as a key to the Pocket Dimension. Over the ages, Keeper Odyn came to see Helya as his adopted daughter. When the other Keepers decided to ask the Pantheon to empower the dragon aspects for the heroism against Galakrond, Odyn was vehemently against it, stating that only Titanforged could be trusted to defend Azeroth, as he did not trust the proto-dragons. He sought to create his own elite army, one of steadfast and valiant stature, and saw the Vrykul to be the most desirable candidate for his army. The aspects were empowered despite his objections, and so Odyn took a section of Ulduar and raised it into the sky, creating the Halls of Valor, and in doing so relinquished his position of Prime Designate. Odyn sacrificed his eye to Muazala, an ally of Zovaal the Jailer, in exchange for the ability to peer into the Shadowlands. When Odyn gazed into the Shadowlands, he saw the Kyrian and was inspired by them to make something similar for himself. Odyn told the Vrykul that those who died a worthy death in battle would have their spirits brought to the Halls of Valor and given new immortal bodies infused with the power of the storm to fight as his Valarjar, which Odyn thought would be better defenders than the dragons. In order to retrieve the spirits of the deceased, Odyn would need Vrykul to volunteer become Valkyr, inspired by the Kyrian he had seen, and take those heroic Vrykul spirits from the Shadowlands. The Vrykul objected, and Odyn's adopted daughter, the Titanforged Helya, tried to talk him out of it. Instead, Odyn transformed Helya into the first Valkyr and ordered her to do the job for him. Odyn would later lie to his fellows that Helya's transformation had been due to her own arrogance. He claimed that during their argument she had reached out for the power of the Shadowlands and subsequently gotten sucked into the realm, destroying her body and transforming her into a twisted wraith before he managed to pull her out, and that she had subsequently apologized and begged him to make her a Valkyr. The betrayal. Helya nursed resentment against Odyn for thousands of years until the day Loken, a keeper manipulated by the old god Yogg-Saron, convinced her to turn against him. Helya used the same magic that had been used to lock the elemental plane to seal Odyn and his Valarjar army inside the Halls of Valor, and then decided to take Vrykul's soul in her new realm, Helheim. Helya would be replaced by Eir as the leader of the Valkyr, and Loken would go on to steal Odin's title of Prime Designate. But that's a story for another time. The tale of Azeroth's shaping is one of awe and sorrow. For every gift a burden, and for every victory a cost. For the Titans' grand design to the silent fall of Helya, the echoes of this ancient era still shape the world we know today. If you would like to hear the rest of Loken's and Helya's story, the betrayal, the revenge, and what came after, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, may your dreams be evergreen and your path lit by starlight.